You didn't start playing your instrument thinking, I can't wait to teach one day. You got into music because you loved playing. Maybe it was the first time you nailed a song that you loved, or it was playing live, and that feeling of adrenaline, or it's just the idea of creating something of your own. But gigs are unpredictable, money is inconsistent, and at some point you realize, I need a steady income. So you start teaching. At first, you tell yourself it's just a side thing, something to fill the gaps between gigs. But before you know it, it takes over. Low paying school jobs, students who don't care, and rigid curriculums that make lessons feel like a checklist. And suddenly, teaching isn't just something you do, it's something you have to do. But teaching isn't the problem, it's how you're doing it. The real problem is that teaching was never set up to work for you. It feels like something that you had to fall back on and not something you chose. And when something feels like a fallback instead of a choice, it's hard to stay motivated. You're watching your friends play big shows while you're stuck teaching kids who don't want to be there. You can feel like you're caught in a side hustle that wasn't part of the plan. And it's not just that, where you teach can also make it so much worse. If you're stuck in a school dealing with strict schedules, low pay, and students who couldn't care less, it's draining. You have no control over your time, your approach, or even who you teach. And let's be honest, some students just don't care. You show up ready to teach, and they're scrolling on their phones or counting down the minutes until it's over. And the worst part, you start to care less too. And lesson after lesson, it wears you down. After a while, it doesn't just kill your passion for teaching, it can also start killing your passion for music. And then there's the content itself. If you're stuck following a curriculum that you didn't create, teaching things that you don't even enjoy, it stops feeling like music and starts feeling like a job. Teaching should feel like sharing something you love. But if what you're teaching doesn't excite you, it's just another grind. And by the time you finish a full day of lessons, you've got nothing left in the tank. You don't feel like practicing, you don't feel like creating, and you just feel done. And that's when you start questioning, am I even a musician anymore? And if all that wasn't bad enough, most musicians are undercharging. And because you're undercharging, you have to teach way too many students just to make ends meet. And that's how burnout happens. You're teaching back-to-back lessons, grinding away, barely making enough, and wondering, why does this feel so unsustainable? Comment below your biggest frustration with teaching right now. By the way, my name is Jacob Evans. I'm a professional drummer and I'm helping musicians generate more income and freedom with online coaching. Teaching doesn't have to run your life. What if you controlled when, where, and how you teach instead of letting it control you? The right students, the right setup, and the right approach. Those things change everything. When you teach on your own terms, it stops feeling like a grind and starts feeling like something you actually enjoy. Imagine working with students who are excited to learn, teaching them things that you're passionate about, setting your own schedule, and actually getting paid what you're worth. It's possible, you just have to set it up the right way. If this sounds like something you want to do, make sure you subscribe because I'll be breaking down exactly how to set this up in future videos. A lot of musicians avoid teaching not because they can't do it, but because they believe things about teaching that just aren't true. If I teach, people won't take me seriously as a musician. I had this fear too. I thought if I put myself out there as a teacher, then other musicians would see me as just a teacher instead of a real player. But the reality, teaching actually helped me get where I am now. I'm almost certain that my online presence as a teacher contributed to me landing the gig that I'm on now, which is playing drums full-time on a West End theatre show here in London. Because when you're visible, when people see you teaching, breaking down concepts, sharing insights, they don't just see a teacher. They see a musician who knows their craft. Teaching doesn't make people take you less seriously. It puts you on the radar. It creates opportunities and it makes you more known, more respected, and more in demand. Teaching kills your creativity. For me, teaching actually made me a better drummer because when you teach something, you have to break it down. And doing that forces you to understand it on a deeper level than if you were just practicing it on your own. I refined my own playing because I had to explain things clearly to others. I started applying concepts more efficiently, improving way faster, and getting paid to do it. Teaching doesn't drain your creativity, it sharpens it. I need flexibility for my career. I hear this one all the time. Musicians saying they don't want to teach because they need to be free for gigs or tours or travel. But teaching can be as flexible as you want it to be. I built my entire teaching model online. I'll never forget sitting in a cafe in Italy with my friend, taking calls with students and answering their questions. I was making money while I was traveling. You don't have to be locked into weekly lessons. You can run remote coaching, feedback based lessons, or memberships, whatever fits your lifestyle. And the best part, when you have a steady income from teaching, you don't have to take every low paying gig just to survive. You can be more strategic and pick gigs that actually move your career forward. You don't hate teaching. You hate the conditions that you're teaching under. When you take control of your students and your pricing and approach, teaching stops being a burden and becomes a tool that gives you the freedom to focus on your music. So tell me, what's your biggest frustration with teaching right now? Drop a comment below. I read and respond to every single one.